Welcome to this tech tip showing the installation and first launch of Edgecam 2015 R2. This tech tip is intended for the user that has a previous recent version of Edgecam and is updating to the 2015 R2 version. After downloading the DVD image, extracting the contents, and opening the starthere.hta file, you will have the installation navigation screen shown here. We suggest that before installing, you should refer to the installation guide for complete information on the software install process. The Prepare section also provides documentation on what's new. The Install section offers the options to install software on the user workstation. This explanation will focus on the Edgecam installation. The install process for Edgecam is very straightforward. You begin with selecting the Edgecam option in the Install section, which launches the Edgecam installer to guide you through the rest of the install process. After selecting the license agreement and selecting the folder to install to, you're asked for a typical or custom installation. The live job reports, part modeler, and CAD links are all installed along with Edgecam as part of a typical Edgecam installation. You can use the custom option if you wish to select the specific Edgecam software applications to install. Next is the program group to be created with a default suggestion provided. Next is the selection of the default units and environment to use when launching Edgecam. Next is a summary screen, and after clicking Install, the process begins. When installation is complete, you have the Finish button, and also notice that What's New is checked. We suggest browsing through What's New to become familiar with the changes and new technology in this release. You can also get to What's New from the splash screen and anytime from the Edgecam Help menu. The other items in the Install section are optional. As noted previously, the live job reports, part modeler, and CAD links are all installed automatically as part of a typical Edgecam installation. These install screen options are provided for users that wish to install them separately. This may be desirable on a computer that uses these peripheral applications but is not used as a primary Edgecam workstation. Edgecam is the first CAD/CAM platform to integrate Sandvik Coromont's Advion tool library. The Advion tool library is based on the cutting tool data standard ISO 13399 and makes it easy to create and export tool assemblies to your CAM or simulation software. Part Explorer is a high-speed 3D viewer which directly displays and evaluates 3D CAD data without the need for the original CAD application. This software option provides measurement, annotation, analysis, screen images for setup reports, and other tasks useful for manufacturing and engineering. Contact us for more information on the Advion and Part Explorer license options. At this point, I'd also like to point out the Browse Installation folder option right above Exit. This opens Windows Explorer and displays the contents of the DVD image. Notice the Utilities folder. These contain a pair of utilities, including a tool that completely removes the Edgecam installation from the workstation if that should ever be necessary. You have full control over the process, including ability to do a clean uninstall where all files and Windows registry entries are removed. You simply select the options that you wish, and when you're done, click Remove to begin the process. When installation is complete, notice the Edgecam Launcher 2015 R2 shortcut that has been placed on the desktop. The launcher provides central access to all Edgecam software items including Workflow, recently used files, the ToolStore database, and other software applications. We're going to launch Workflow and look at what happens the first time that we use the new software version. First, we get a prompt asking about where to install sample data. By default, sample data will be installed in our local documents folder. That's where we wish to keep it. We'll simply press OK and begin that process. It is possible for users that have multiple users that each have their own unique login to the workstation then in those cases, users might want to put the sample data into public documents. However, most customers use local. Once the data is done being copied, we see the File Migration Wizard. This is a handy utility for copying your data from previous Edgecam versions to the new version. You've probably configured the previous version to just look just the way you like it, and this utility will copy those settings to the new version automatically. Simply choose the items to copy, and then start the file migration process. You can hover over the mouse over any item for a description of what the option controls. Most users can leave the default suggestions checked and just click Install. The utility will now copy the user data to the new version so that Edgecam 2015 R2 looks as close as possible to how you had configured the previous version. Next, you have a question about registering the software. If you've already done this with the previous version and are using the Vero customer portal and customer community forums, you can skip this step. If you haven't done that, you may want to take a moment to register. That completes the Edgecam process, and you're now ready to begin using the latest version of Edgecam. This final segment is for customers that host the ToolStore database from a server. If your company doesn't do that, you can ignore the remainder of this tech tip. In this deployment scenario, there are typically multiple user workstations, which we'll call clients. They all use a common database, which is installed on another computer, which we'll call the database server. In this type of environment, the database server should be updated to the new version so that it has a database in the latest version available to host before installing Edgecam on the client workstations. So step 1 is working on the database server. Complete the SQL ToolStore installation. Step 2 is that while working on the database server, upgrade the database. We'll show an example of how to do that next. Once both tasks are complete, you can proceed to perform the Edgecam installations on the client workstations. We've just completed the install of the SQL ToolStore on the computer acting as the database server. We've gone to Start and All Programs and found the Edgecam program group for the latest version and opened ToolStore Administrator. We can see there's a database with a red exclamation indicating that it's a database from a previous version. When I left click on it, we'll go to the Upgrade Database option in the management screen, and we'll give this a new database a name. We suggest putting in an appendix that matches the version that this database is intended for. At the end of the upgrade process, we see the new database available as well as the old one. We're now ready to move out to the Edgecam workstations and do a typical Edgecam installation. At the end of those installations, we can connect them to the upgraded database on the database server.